Just in time for Black Friday, politicians voicing their anger at Electronic Arts' in-game money-making strategy inside its new Star Wars Battlefront 2 title. And this is no joke, it's a rebellion. Hawaii State Representatives Chris Lee and Sean Quinlan have vowed to take action to protect underage kids from the game's monetization practices. In a press statement, Chris Lee says, "This game is basically a Star Wars-themed online casino designed to lure kids into an addictive cycle of gambling money for a chance to win game upgrades. These exploitive mechanisms have no place in games being marketed to minors, and perhaps no place in games at all." He didn't end there, as he added, "We have already asked the Attorney General to look into this situation. We are also looking at legislation to protect families by prohibiting the sale of games with these gambling mechanisms to those who are underage, or prohibiting these gambling mechanisms altogether." The politicians noted they are not alone and are working with legislators in other states. And he concluded by saying, "We know this will give families who have been victims of these predatory practices a sense of pride and accomplishment to have worked to prevent future exploitation, and we have been working both with them and legislators in other states who are also considering ways to address this important issue." Well, that's a lot of heavy words being used: addictive, gambling mechanisms, prohibition, exploitation, marketing to minors, and one widely followed Wall Street correspondent not that impressed with legislators' arguments. Meanwhile, back to the story. Currently, the loot box in-game purchasing mechanism the representatives are criticizing temporarily turned off in the game. Electronic Arts announced last week, just before the game's official launch day, it is temporarily turning off all in-game purchases in Star Wars Battlefront 2 in response to the negative sentiment from the gaming community. EA wrote, "It's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. We've heard the concerns about potentially giving players unfair advantages, so sorry, we didn't get this right. We hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game." Now, the initial uproar centered on in-game purchases in Star Wars Battlefront 2. They allowed players to save time by paying extra money to acquire loot boxes, which contain Star Wars cards, helping accelerate the time to unlock major characters such as Darth Vader. And in truth, I'm just as lost as most of you out there by saying these things, but in other words, you can spend money to acquire cards that help you attain unlockables easier and progress faster in the game. I guess that's simple enough. In other words, consumers are indeed being enticed to spend more money for content that some believe should be part of the initial $60 game price. And Representative Quinlan takes it even further with a reference to the tobacco industry. "We all remember Joe Camel being used to encourage kids to smoke cigarettes, and we should not let Star Wars be used to encourage kids to gamble." Star Wars is a global brand, one of the most valuable intellectual properties in the entertainment industry, and owned by the world's foremost purveyor of movies for children. With great power comes great responsibility, and in this case, the onus is on Disney and Electronic Arts to take a strong stand against underage gambling. Now, in-game purchasing and microtransactions have been a controversial topic in the gaming industry for a while. I played WWE 2K and FIFA, and there are purchases in-game everywhere to be made. But the question is this enticing young gamers, underage children, to gamble? That's a big question that I honestly can't answer. All I can say is keep an eye on this topic, as I can only make one guarantee: that this is far from over, and this may have an impact on the future of gaming. In other words, it's going to be interesting. For Modern Wall Street, I'm James Swinney.